Students in a statistics class took their first test. The following scores are what they earned. Create a frequency distribution and a histogram for the data using class limits that make sense for the grade data. So they're leaving that up to us. Describe the shape of the distribution. So I've got the data entered in here. So I'm going to go ahead and I've got the data entered. I'm just going to go ahead and make the histogram. So there's my histogram setting, pulling from list 1. And I'm going to go to the window, and we're going to go from, well, the smallest piece of data looks like it's a 58. So, and then let's see, highest looks like it's in the 90s, so we'll go up to 100, and a scale. So how wide do we want it to be? Well, if the range here is, let's see, from 94 to 58, so what is that, 40, 36? So we've got a range of 36. So if I go by, let's see, I'll make 6 bars. So then I'll have my scale go by 7s. And you can set that to be anything you want, just something that's reasonable. Just decide how many bars you want. And let's go graph and see what we see. Okay, so now if I trace this out, so I've got one person in the 58 to 65, 3 from 65 to 72, etc. And then there we go. All right, so there's my histogram. So remember, we're going to describe the data by the SOCs, shape, outlier, center, and spread. So the shape looks like it's mound-shaped. It might have a little bit of right skew. If you called that roughly mound-shaped and symmetric, I probably wouldn't argue with you. Let's run the stats on it. Let's go stat calc 1var stats and compare the mean and the median. What do we have? The mean is 79.04. The median 79. So those are really close together. So I might argue then that gives me some evidence that this is roughly symmetric, since the mean and the median are so close. So I have roughly symmetric data. And again, if you said, oh, maybe it's skewed one direction or the other, it looks like maybe a little bit of left skew. But again, because the mean and the median are so close, I'm going to say shape, mound-shaped, roughly symmetric. It doesn't appear that there's any outliers. Let's check. Let's do the box and whisker plot. And zoom. We can just go graph and you'll see it. And again, you can see that long tail hanging off there. That gives me a little bit of hesitation about saying, well, maybe it is left skewed, but it's so close. I'm going to stick with my symmetric argument. And there are no outliers. The measure of center, we know that that's 79.4. And the spread is the range, which was 36, if I recall, right? Stat calc 1var stats. So the min was 58 and the max was 94. So that's a range of 36. All right. So what should you have in your assignment? You'd have your histogram graphed like so. And then you would describe it by its SOCs. So you'd say the shape is mound-shaped and roughly symmetric. Outliers, there's none. Center, we can report the mean, 79.04, and the spread, that's the range, is equal to 36. All right, so there's the second part of the answer. The first part said to make a frequency distribution. So for our frequency distribution, we're just going to draw that out, right? So remember, we're going to have our classes. So I'm going to find those on the calculator. So I went from 58 to 65, and then from 65 to 72, and from 72 to 79, from 79 to 86, from 86 to 93, and from 93 to 100. All right, so there's the class. And then the frequency, this bottom one there were 3, and there were 2, and there were 11, there were 5, there were 3, and 1. Let's add those up, make sure it adds up to be the 25 students. There's 5, 16, 21. 21 plus 4 is a total of 25. And that's the frequency. All right, did it want relative frequency? Something makes sense for the data. Nope, just a frequency distribution, so I'm done. Now remember, yours wouldn't necessarily look exactly like this because, right, you might have used different class widths. Maybe you went by tens, or maybe you went by, maybe you decided that there were going to be 5 bars, or maybe you decided there were going to be 10 bars. So yours is going to look maybe a little bit different than mine. Maybe you decided to have more bars. I said 6 seems good. So there's a little bit of wiggle room for you there. So you remember, yours doesn't have to look exactly like that. There you go.